Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to be looking at expanding free brackets in a bit more detail. So let's have a look at our next example. So our next example says expand and simplify 2x minus 1 all cubed, subtract 8x minus 1 all squared. Okay, so if I wanted to do a question like this, the first thing I would do is I would expand each of the brackets. So I would do 2x minus 1 and cube it and get what that is. And then I would also find out what 8x minus 1 squared is. So let's start off with 2x minus 1 all cubed. And whenever you're cubing a bracket, you're multiplying it by itself and by itself again. So I'm just going to write out three of the brackets. I'm writing out 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1, and 2x minus 1. And if I wanted to expand this, I would expand the first pair of brackets. So I'm going to do 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. So I'm going to multiply everything in here by 2x, and then multiply everything here by -1, and then simplify that and see what we get. And then once we know what that is, then we'll times that by 2x minus 1. So let's do that. So let's expand these brackets. So 2x times 2x would be 4x squared. And then 2x times minus 1 would be minus 2x. So we've multiplied everything in this bracket by 2x. Now let's times everything in this bracket by -1. So -1 times 2x would be minus 2x. And then -1 times -1 would be 1, because the negative times a negative is a positive, so it's just going to be 1. So expanding these brackets will give us 2x squared minus 2x plus 1. But let's simplify that. If we simplify this, focusing on the two terms in the middle here, we'd have 4x squared. And then we've got minus 2x taken away another 2x. That'll be minus 4x, so minus 4x and then plus 1. So expanding the first two brackets would give us 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. But we've still got to times that by 2x minus 1. So we're now going to times everything in this bracket by 4x squared. We're going to times everything in the bracket by minus 4x. And we're going to times everything in the bracket by 1. And then we're going to simplify that and see what we get. So let's do that. So 4x squared times 2x would be 8x cubed. Then 4x squared times minus 1 would be minus 4x squared. So we've times everything in the bracket by 4x squared. Now let's times everything in the bracket by minus 4x. So minus 4x times 2x would be minus 8x squared, so minus 8x squared. And then minus 4x times minus 1, well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 4x times 1 will be then plus 4x. So that's fantastic. We've now times everything in the bracket by minus 4x. And finally, now we just need to times what's in the bracket by 1. So 1 times 2x would be plus 2x, and 1 times minus 1 would be minus 1. So that's fantastic. And finally, let's simplify this and see what we get. So 8x cubed, well, it's just going to be 8x cubed, so 8x cubed. Minus 4x squared, take away another 8x squared, would be minus 12x squared, so minus 12x squared. 4x plus 2x would be plus 6x, and then we've got our minus 1 on the end, and that's it. So that means that 2x minus 1, all cubed, would be equal to 8x cubed minus 12x squared plus 6x minus 1. Okay, so that's fantastic. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take away whatever 8x minus 1 squared is. So I'm going to work out what this is. I'm going to work out what 8x minus 1 squared is. And to do that, we're going to times the bracket by itself. So we'll write out beside itself. So 8x minus 1 and then brackets 8x minus 1, and we'll expand those brackets. 8x times 8x is equal to 64x squared. 8x times minus 1 will be minus 8x. Minus 1 times 8x would be another minus 8x, and then finally -1 times -1 is 1, so plus 1. And then if we simplify this, we get 64x squared. Minus 8x, take away another 8x, would be minus 16x, and then we've got our plus 1. So we've expanded those brackets. So that's fantastic. We've now worked out what 2x minus 1 all cubed is. We've worked out what 8x minus 1 all squared is. Now we've got to take them away. Okay, so that's fantastic. So we've now worked out what 2x minus 1 all cubed is, so that's that. And we've worked out what 8x minus 1 all squared is, which is this. Now we're going to take them away. So I'm going to write this out, our 2x minus 1 all cubed, that's equal to 8x squared, 8x cubed minus 12x squared plus 6x minus 1, so that's that. And then we're going to be taking away all of this. So we're going to be taking away all of this. So I like to put it in a bracket and write 64x squared minus 16x plus 1. So we're subtracting all of that. And I'm putting it in a bracket so that we remember we're taking away each of them. We're not just taking away the 64x squared. We're taking away the 64x squared. We're going to be taking away the minus 16x, and we're going to be taking away the 1. Okay, so now let's work this out. So we've got the 8x cubed, but we're not taking anything away from that. So that's just going to be 8x cubed. Now we've got minus 12x squared, and we're going to be taking away 64x squared. Well, minus 12x squared take away another 64x squared would be minus 76x squared. So just taking that away. Now we've got 6x subtract minus 16x, and that's why we're putting the bracket in here, just so we're extra careful that we know that we're doing 6x subtract minus 16x. So subtracting a negative would mean we're adding it on. So we're going to do 6x plus 16x, which would be 22x, so plus 22x. And then finally the numbers, we've got minus 1 take away 1. So minus 1 take away 1 would be minus 2. So minus 2. And that's fantastic. And we could leave our answer like that if we wanted to. Or I suppose we could factorize this. We could take a 2 out. And if we factorize it and take a 2 out, we get that that's equal to, if we take a 2 out here, divide everything by 2, we're going to get 4x cubed minus 38x squared plus 11x minus 1. Or you could just leave your answer like that if you wanted it. It's fairly simple as it is. And that's it. And that's our answer. 8x cubed minus 76x squared plus 22x minus 2, or 2 bracket 4x cubed minus 36x squared plus 11x minus 1. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, so next question. So we've got a part A and part B here. Part A asks us to expand and simplify this. So we've got to expand our three brackets. And then we've been asked to hence simplify this, which looks really complicated. But whenever we actually work it out, it's going to actually be something quite nice. And we're going to use our answer to A to help us with part B, because it says the word hence. So we use our answer to A to help with part B. So let's do part A to begin with. So we want to expand this. So let's expand our first two brackets. So x times x would be x squared. X times 4 would be 4x, so plus 4x. Minus 2 times x would be minus 2x. And minus 2 times 4 would be minus 8. And then if we simplify the x's in the middle, we'd get x squared. 4x take away 2x would be plus 2x, and then minus 8. So expanding our first two brackets would give us this. Okay, x squared plus 2x minus 8. And then we've got our last bracket, which is then 2x minus 1. So now we need to expand these. So we're going to times everything in this bracket by x squared, everything in the bracket by 2x, and everything in the bracket by minus 8. And if you've watched the videos on expanding free brackets and also the expanding free brackets in context, you're probably quite good at expanding free brackets by now. So that's why I'm going through this one quite quickly, because it's actually quite straightforward. Okay, so let's times everything in the bracket by x squared. X squared times 2x would be 2x cubed. X squared times minus 1 would be minus x squared. 2x times 2x is plus 4x squared. 2x times minus 1 will be minus 2x. Minus 8 times 2x will be minus 16x. And then finally, minus 8 times minus 1 will be equal to plus 8, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So we've expanded. Now finally, let's simplify. I'm just going to write it up here in blue, just so that we've got the answer here in blue, so we can see it quite easily for our part B. So we've got our 2x cubed minus x squared plus 4x squared would be 3x squared, so plus 3x squared. Minus 2x take away number 16x would be minus 18x, and then we've got our plus 8. And that's it. So we've expanded and simplified. Now let's have a look at part B. So part B, it looks pretty fun. We've got hence simplify, and we've got the same three brackets here. These brackets are the same as these three, so that's great. We can just put all this in there. And then we've got minus 2x squared bracket x minus 1 close brackets plus 4x minus 11 all over 5x squared plus x. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is substitute all this in for the three brackets. So replace this part with this. Okay, so I'm just going to replace that. So let's do that. So that would give us 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 18x plus 8. And I'm just making my writing a bit smaller there because we might need a bit of room. Okay, so we've replaced this with this. Actually, let's just write the rest of the expression. So minus 2x squared bracket x minus 1 close brackets plus 4x minus 11 over all over 5x squared plus x. Okay, so we've just replaced those three brackets with what we got on part A. And what I tend to do with questions like this is I tend to avoid doing too much in one go, because then I might make a mistake, I might lose track of what I've done. So I've just replaced these three brackets with that. My next step is I'm going to expand this bracket. I'm going to do minus 2x squared times x, and I'm going to do minus 2x squared times negative 1. So I'll expand that bracket, and that's all I'm going to do in my next step. So let's do that. So this bit will all stay the same. So 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 18x plus 8. That'll all stay the same. Now we're going to expand the bracket to minus 2x squared times x would be minus 2x cubed. And minus 2x squared times minus 1 will be, well, negative times a negative is a positive, and then it'll be 2x squared. So we've expanded our bracket. The rest of it will stay the same. So plus 4x minus 11, and that's all over 5x squared plus x. And it's very important that you try not to do too much in one go. If you expand the brackets and then try to simplify, if you make a mistake, you'll struggle to see where that is. Now our numerator here looks quite messy, and there's a lot of things that can be simplified. So let's simplify that and see what we get. Okay, so when we simplify all this, 2x cubed, and then we've got our minus 2x cubed, and they're the only x cubed terms. That's an x cubed term, and that's an x cubed term. So let's take them away. 2x cubed, take away 2x cubed will be 0. So they'll cancel out. That's fantastic. So there's no x cubed terms on the numerator. So we've done that, take away that, and that's given us 0. Okay, now let's have a look at the x squared terms. 3x squared plus 2x squared. Well, that's 5x squared. So let's write that down, 5x squared. Okay, so we've dealt with the x squared terms. We've done that one and that one. Now let's have a look at the rest of the terms. We've got x's here. Minus 18x plus 4x. Well, minus 18x's plus 4x's mean that we're going to go back up 4x's, so that'll be minus 14x. So that's going back up 4x's, that'll be minus 14x. Now let's have a look at our numbers. We've got 8 take away 11, and 8 take away 11 is negative 3, so that's going to be negative 3. And that's it. And let's just recap that. 2x cubed take away 2x cubed is 0. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. Minus 18x plus 4x will be minus 14x, and then 8 take away 11 will be negative 3. And it's going to be all over, and then on the denominator we've got 5x squared plus x. Okay, this is fantastic. So what we were given in the question was really complicated, and this is looking a lot simpler. We're making good progress here. Now let's see if we can factorize either the numerator or denominator, or hopefully both. So let's factorize. So if we factorize the numerator, let's see what we get. So it's a quadratic factorization here with 5x squared. So let's try 5x and an x, and I'm going to do this using inspection, but if you like split in the middle technique, feel free to use that. So we want to get two numbers that times together to be negative 3, and when we expand the brackets we get minus 14x. So I'm thinking if I put minus 3 there, because it could be minus 3 and 1, so plus 1, and let's just see, 5x times x is 5x squared, 5x times minus 3 would be minus 15x, plus 1x would be then minus 14x, and then 1 times minus 3 would be minus 3. Fantastic. So factorize the numerator. Now let's factorize the denominator. So in terms of the denominator, we can take an x out. It's just simple factorization. So if we take an x out, 5x squared, taking x out would be 5x, and then x taking x out divided by x would be plus 1. So that's fantastic. We've factorized the numerator and we've factorized the denominator. Now what's even better here is you actually notice we've got the same bracket on the numerator and the denominator. So we can divide both the numerator and denominator by 5x plus 1. And when we do that, we'd just be left with this bracket. So it would just be x minus 3, because there's nothing else there apart from the bracket. We can then get rid of the bracket and try it on the numerator, and then over x. And that's it. So the answer would be x minus 3 over x. And that's how I would just write my answer. I suppose you could write it if you wanted to as 1 minus 3 over x, but I probably would just leave it like that. And that's it. So that's it. And if you look at the question, which was really messy and complicated, it's in a really simple answer. And that's it. That's how I would write my answer. But if you wanted to, as I said, you could divide both of those terms by x, and you would get that's equal to x divided by x, which is 1, and then minus 3 over x. So either one of those would be totally fine. And that's it. And that's it. So in this video, we've looked at answering some more questions with expanded free brackets. So whenever you have to expand free brackets and then do some more maths, more algebra with it. And I really hope you found this video useful. And if you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.